Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Tony Commander Galpohkpa Chesson Talk Show. Today is the 19th day of the second month in the new year, 2021. Black History Month, February 19th, 2021. As I get up and start my show this morning, I want to join a commentator on CNN, Ana Cabrera, and apologize to the people of Cancun, Mexico, because America did not send our best. Let me get into my lesson. And if you don't get that, I'll explain it to you later on. So here are my topics today. Topic 1. President Joe Biden offers federal assistance to failed Texas leaders. 2. President George Weah, Ebola virus, and starving Liberian children. 3. Who's really leading Liberia and Liberian people? George and or Clar Weah. Let's get into my topics. Number 1. President Joe Biden offers federal assistance to failed Texas leaders. Now, although I started with this topic, there is more problem closer to home in Rhode Island where I live. So before I touch on my Rhode Island situation, let me get into our federal situation first. Now we have seen that Texas leaders are not far thinking. That Texas leaders are not visionaries. That Texas leaders are failures and men who lie to cover their errors and mistakes. And who is included in this group? None other than Ted Cruz. The race supremacists, the racist, and the traitor United States Senator from the state of Texas. And it is so bad, it is so terrible that in this whole state, there are no wise thinking leaders that had the vision to know that Texas cannot be off the federal grid and have its own system just to avoid federal taxes. What kind of cheap, useless excuse is that? Now, they refuse federal government participation, and they themselves are not prepared for the changing climatic situation we are in today. And the same Ted Cruz, who is the senator from Texas, is one of the same perpetrators with Donald Trump in denying that climate change is a problem. So they neglected all of that. And I told you that Jesus Christ and God does not like ugly. These leaders got the poor people suffering for nothing now. It's not, it's divine punishment. It's divine punishment for leaders who do not seek God's blessing, but use Jesus Christ's teachings and name to deceive American people, to displace young children from foreign countries, to separate families that today young children cannot recognize their mothers and fathers because they've been separated by the United States government, or practice of hate of practice of immorality, separating God's people to hurt them. Why? And there's no need. There's enough in this country for all of us to live and enjoy. But this is what happened when people like Ted Cruz and all these corrupt, useless senators come into our government and are the very people that spewing things on the internet about morality and standards and rule of law and all these things that's supposed to be good, when they are the very underbelly of American society who are stealing and robbing from us and using the very laws they perpetrated to deceive us. Now, taxes, the ground so frozen they can't get the natural gas out. They don't have the technology to do that. They don't have the know-how. They didn't plan in advance for this kind of climatic change, which we've been talking about from time immemorial, and they being ignoring. Now Joe Biden got to put us in the climate convention. This is bad leadership. This is failed leadership. This is terrible leadership. And this is the leadership we have because of Donald Trump and people like Ted Cruz. Now to show that these people are so evil and wicked, they have stolen all the wealth of our nation. There is no equal distribution of the wealth in the United States of America. 1% always getting everything. And now they have dissolved the middle class. There's no more middle class in America. There are these rich, useless people and the rest of us poor people who's striving to live and survive and have nobody to turn to. Now, the cold is so severe in Texas. My poor American people are freezing to death, have no water in their homes, have no heat, no electricity in their home. They're just starting to get it back, but they had none. And while everybody suffering from this cold and people dying, go sleeping in their car and dying of carbon monoxide, burning their furniture, breaking their furniture up and burning it in their homes for heat and dying from carbon monoxide too, poisoning. Some people out in the streets, nowhere to go, they're freezing to death. And Ted Cruz, the senator of this state, in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of a major emergency, a state of emergency in his own state. And this man gets on a plane with his family because his house is too cold and unbearable for him. So he gets on the plane in the midst of his people dying, of his people suffering, of his people calling out to God and man for help. This senator, a racist and race supremacist, get on a plane with his wife and their few rich friends from the Houston neighborhood of Texas. Get on a plane with their children and travel to Cancun, Mexico, to be in a lavish hotel with their rich friends, enjoying, they say the weekend, but you know the people didn't stay the weekend. Enjoying sun and fun on the beach with their friends, neglecting the conscious ideal or idea that their people are dying and they are the leaders of these people and they have abandoned ship and gone and left their suffering people and gone somewhere else to look for comfort, fun, and joy. These are the people who got leading America. And it's not just now. It's been forever. But now, minorities are more conscious of our rights. So more conscious that a few people cannot benefit all the masses of American people and deceive us and deceive their own white people who are poor and suffering into believing that their lives will be better than black people if they stay racist, if they follow Ku Klux Klan, if they follow the skinheads and all of that. And American people, my white people, can't see that this is total deception, total lies, total corruption. Now we're in a state of real confusion where we have been led down the path of race supremacy, hate, racism, and attempt to overthrow the democratic government of the United States of America, to take us under the rule of one delusional, mentally sick man called Donald Trump. Now our whole country is a confused mess. Our whole country, because the deception of our leaders are being exposed more and more and more each day. And these are the people that have been leading us from time immemorial. These habits and practices of them are not just emerging. These practices have been ongoing since 1776, since before 1776. And my people, my black people, have been living under this system for 400 years. And it's still being persistent. It's still being carried on. It still is a part of the corrupt, inept, incompetent leadership of our country. It's becoming more cognizant to us now because we are aware. We are more minorities than in the past. And it's not only impacting black people's lives, these people are impacting Asians, they are impacting Europeans, they are impacting Caribbeans, they are attacking people of all over the world living in America who are not white or considered white. And this is killing us. And the very white people among the minority nations are the same as the white people of races and race supremacy. Look at Ted Cruz, a Spanish man, or Cuban. Can't even speak Spanish. Behaves like an elite American. Comes on Twitter time and time again, disparaging people for immoral acts. He is one of the biggest Republican voices on Twitter, just like Trump. He replaced Trump. And now we see the same deception, the same traitorous behavior, the same lies. For 4 years we live under, and the Texas people come and live under Ted Cruz again. This might be Ted Cruz's last political office ever again. This man is not only a leader of races, he's a leader of enemies of the United States of America. And his deception has proven time and time again that Ted Cruz is a criminal. His thinking, his action, his deception, his hypocrite, his whatever, criminal behavior. And these are senators of the United States of America. This is a man making laws for us, causing black people to suffer and die, holding up our stimulus package so our people don't have no places to live in this cold weather. We have no food for our children. America has turned into a nation of beggars, a nation of leaders who have no consciousness of the needs of their people. So what do I expect? I do not expect nothing. If African Americans not getting it, what will the African in America get? Nothing. Nothing. So people like us got to speak for our people. People like us got to have the opportunities to explain our concerns, our problem with governmental leadership, our problem with corruption, ineptitude, lies of our government leaders for over 400 years, flip-flopping on the laws, twisting them around because our people, my people, are ignorant still to some extent of their rights, of their freedoms in America. Black people are still not conscious of it. So our white brothers and sisters, some of them, not all, flip-flop with the laws, flip-flop with the dignities of our people, the pride of some Americans, of many Americans, and only the few continue to get rich and rich and rich and rich. Now it is evident that there is total confusion in the United States of America. Our Congress is in a state of confusion. Our Democrats, Gina Raimondo, Dan McKee, are in confusion with each other. And who suffers the most? My people, the niggers, the black people. I can't speak for nobody else. Hispanic people got Ted Cruz. They got Mark Rubio. They got all these people who hate us in Congress. Sitting down looking at our people suffer. Looking at our people die in the cold. Looking at our people being put out of their houses for the first time. Some people are being put out of their houses because they have no money, no jobs to pay their rent, to buy their foods. People going out to food pantries and things that they've never been to in their lives. All these people's actions come back to hunt and kill my people. COVID-19, nearly 500,000 Americans dead. And among them, how many African Americans and blacks? So many. Because we are the suffering, lost, neglected, and constitutionally denied our rights and privileges under the Constitution since the 1700s, 1600s to this very day. They've killed my people. They starved us. They raped us. They robbed us time and again with the Ku Klux Klan and all these useless organizations. And every time we just sit down and complain and complain and complain, and nothing happens. And we're going through it again. So here we are in my state of Rhode Island. We have Gina Raimondo, the current governor, who has been appointed by the Joe Biden government to be the Secretary of Commerce. She's on her way out. Now the only thing that's left is a confirmation before Congress to accept her as qualified, competent for the job. But instead of waiting until it was time for her to go up, Gina Raimondo decided to turn over the state, resign from state government and turn it over to her deputy, Dan McKee. So Dan McKee takes over the position, and their transitional teams are currently working to transition from Gina to Dan. But now, Gina is facing a problem. She is leaving the governorship for an uncertain position where the Congress of the United States of America, especially Republicans, are in a massive state of confusion, massive state of uncertain leadership, massive state of destroying themselves. And right now, there is no conscious leadership in Congress. The Democrats can't act alone, whether they have their majority or not, because we want an integrated government. We want a unified government, as we have always had. But when Mitch McConnell and all these people of race supremacy stir up our country and throw our governmental system back almost 300 years, this thing that happened on January 6, 2021 has thrown the American government into a state of confusion and into regression. We are going back so many years because the underbelly of our society, the hate, the racism, the negative part of America, the Liberian people that praise so much. Our leaders praise the most corrupt leaders of America and think they are so great for Liberia. And now we have come to the realization that these people are destroyers of our country, destroyers of world peace and order. Because if America dies, the world is going into confusion, war, chaos. Because other than heaven, America is the nice, greater thing closer to heaven on earth. And if we lose the world leader that ensures us peace, stability, personal advancement and wealth and prosperity to go be under one-man rule, who can order people to be put in jail on his command, a man who lies 30,000 times in 4 years like a little baby, immature child. This is the man the United States of America following. Donald Trump, who wants to be God, who praises QAnon and has become a follower of that group because they praise him as a God. And our religious leader take the church and the teachings of Jesus Christ and subject it to the will and pleasures of a man like Donald Trump. Where has American society gone today? We got to protect ourselves. We got to speak up for ourselves now and speak up vehemently against the evils, against us. Because our world is coming to end because our leaders' corruption and evil and lies and racist tendencies since 400 years ago. And this is the death we come to see by world war and destruction because of these evil people. America is not a powerful nation no more. There's a loophole right now in our leadership. And as long as these white people remain confused and fighting against each other because they have lost consciousness of decency, of law and order, and especially the rule of law, they lost consciousness of it. It's all about tribe, race, and who is the most powerful race. I thought we're getting away from this thing and coming to a more integrated and unified nation of people. But apparently, it's not. And a good Donald Trump brought it up because we can't deal with deception and lies from our leaders who are just as bad as Donald Trump. It's just that their lies are subtle and deceptive to us. They made us think that they're doing us good and they're not doing us good. They're leaving us in the wilderness. But Costa, Bazawi, Yasinde, all these people put America on a different planet. That they can do no wrong. That this is the right and best country in the world, which it is. But it has big flaws against our people. Yes, poor Liberians can come here and live well. People who are not educated, people who have no ambitions, people who just living for the day, they can come here and survive forever. Whether you're a nurse or a doctor or a suffering person or cardboard loader or handicapped person begging in Liberia, you can come here and make a good living. Because every area of work is respected. It's honored. Because if we don't honor people doing our work and honor every competent mind there is in our country, we fail. We fail. And despite the fact that our people are oblivious to the fact that America has flaws that hurt us in Africa and Black America, we still have an obligation and a duty to ensure that our society, our people understand the truth about American society. And not only that everything is good and all smithy and right when you come to America, your problem's finished. Hell no, your problem not finished. When you come to America, if you can't work, you will perish. If you don't know how to do 3-2 jobs, you will perish. If you don't have education where you can get a job to pay you, so you can't work 3-4 jobs, and you live in mainstream American society where you have one job compared to your education and qualification and mental advancement, you will accept anything in this country. And you come to realize that there's a limit for you in America. You can advance so far and no more. Because not only the white people do you have to fight. You have to fight African Americans who think that you come here to take their jobs. Who come here to think that you're a traitor to them. You sell them to the white people. So they turn against you too. So we don't have a chance. Us educated people don't stand a chance when we come from Africa and all these things because we have two enemies to fight. The whites who think we are niggers and don't deserve to advance in any society or in anything. And our own black people who think we're coming to America to take their jobs from them and worship the white man over them. But they can't be wrong because that's a fact too. It happens here. When our black people that Costa and you see there and Pazawi then come here, they don't want to get involved with African American people. Jacinda is doing it now because she's wise. Her eyes open. Costa eyes now open. He's just here for political power for Liberia. And to praise those who can open doors for him personally, not for Liberia. Everything Costa getting is for himself. Listen to how he talk about CPP and COP. It sounds so disgusting. When I hear him complaining about why he decided to go to what a man name, Chesson Foundation over CPP. And he talk about money. They're not supporting his family. That's why you lead us? Because you got to get something for yourself? Did you tell this to the members of CPP or Elliot Cummings or any of these people? Tell them that you need money to run your show? If they said no, did you bring it up to the public? You didn't do all those things. This is the problem with Liberian leadership. Our leaders think they are gods. Our leaders think they can do things and then explain to us later why they did it, whether we like it or not. Not that what he's saying. They're not doing this to me. They're not doing this for me. But he's leading a group of people. Do they all agree to his comments and behavior as a member of CPP going over to work with Chesson Foundation? That's betrayal. Up and down. Ain't got nothing to do with not money or wealth or anything. You know the political situation in our country. You know how our people behave. But this is the same thing we're going through. This is the same thing we're going through here. Our leaders think about themselves and not the people. The white leaders do the same thing like the Liberian leaders, but on a greater scale. But now, we're seeing it in open light because Americans are confused. Now, we have two governors in Rhode Island and no governor. Both of them are pissed off with each other now. Dan McKee not showing up to the briefing. Gina Romano not showing up to the briefings. We're in a crisis. We're in a crisis. If white people can't see it, I see it because my people will suffer the most. When we have dysfunctional leaders, corrupt leaders, a dysfunctional system of leadership, who suffers? Black people. Black people. Yeah, a few white people suffer too. But we suffer the most because everybody else fighting for themselves. And we have nobody to fight for us. We the immigrants from Africa and all these countries, excuse me. We the people from Africa and all these countries, we end up suffering. Why? Because we have no leaders. And the leaders we have no thinking faculties to analyze, to understand that we got to be mindful of the people who we support anywhere in the world. That our people can't just be followers. You see? So now we're seeing it all. And now let me move on to my second lesson because I don't have time for intermission. Let me just move into my second lesson. President George Weah, Ebola virus, starving children in Liberia. Let me start from George Weah. We have a serious problem in Liberia. Very serious. And Liberian people not listening. And I can't get involved with that. I can only teach you from afar. I don't want to get in community affairs. I don't want to get in any group affairs. I'm staying by myself. I'm staying by myself. Because my country is too bad off, man. It's too bad off. We got a pandemic going on. Our people call COVID-19. They don't say COVID. They say, oh, COVID-19. COVID-19. So that's the name they give our thing. The same wrong pronunciation of words with pronunciation we've been through forever in our country. We don't take time to pronounce things correctly. What's so high is in COVID-19? We got to say COVID-19. What's that? I heard it myself. It sounds crazy. Now our people suffering from COVID-19. We got Ebola again in our country. It's in Liberia. We got Ebola all over the West African region. Whether they say it's in Sierra Leone or not, whether people accept it or not, it's there. There's no way COVID-19 will be on the border of Liberia and Sierra Leone, it will not affect the people. Our borders are open. We got 170 plus points of entry into Liberia. Some people say 200 or more. Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone are landlocked. They are ocean-front countries. So how will our nations be protected? Guinea is like part of Liberia, part of Sierra Leone. We all interact with each other. We all need each other in the region to survive. So here we are in this situation with COVID-19. How are we going to break out of it? I'm dealing with that first because this is more important. I hear people traveling abroad and not even giving results for their tests. And they're telling me that when you go to other country, it will be there. How people coming to America without knowing whether they're COVID-free or not? Why are you paying $75 to take the test when you can't get results? I don't care whether the test is free or not from the World Organization, because even if the test is free and the Liberian government using it to generate some funds, once it is genuine and they're using it not to corrupt and steal and rob, I see nothing wrong with that. I don't think it should be that high, but even if they put it that high, Ghana and all the people got their COVID test even higher. So if you're paying $75 to leave Liberia and go somewhere else and you can't get your test, that's not right. When you pay for something, you got to receive it. Suppose you go to another country and they say, oh, your report didn't come. How you go to the USA? What if they deny you entry in their country? You got to come back to Liberia. All these things. That was when they told me a guy in America still waiting for his result. He hasn't received. I'm like, how you got into America? Did he get one from Ghana? Probably. Because every country you go to now, they expect some COVID testing or something. And the only place can give you results is Liberia. Again, I don't know what other country. But this is a serious problem for us. We talk about our health department being ready. Do we have doctors? Monrovia is not Liberia. What kind of doctors we have up country? Now we're coming to take doctors from Monrovia and dispatch them to the COVID area to ensure that this disease doesn't come into Monrovia. How will we stop it? Look at the alleged case in Sierra Leone. The man never left the country. The man traveled right within the country and was having symptoms of Ebola. So right there, it is evident again that when our country are so nasty and dirty, when our leaders have no competence to clean up our country, and especially when my country, Liberia, has feces running through the market where people go to buy food, have children sick and dying over the mismanagement of our health care system. There's a problem. There's a serious problem. And now we got another problem of starving children. Look at that boy that died the other day, where his own parents were starving him. Didn't give that boy food for 3 weeks. How can you be so wicked? That child must have been crying for food. Because no child can live without eating, without crying. Look how they say they left the door open. I had the phone of the boy, and the little boy was creeping on the door for food, taking his last breath because he had eaten the mattress, the plastic, anything he would put his hand on. Because to him, our food, his stomach was empty. It needed to be filled. And now let me tell you, my Liberian people. This is the part I like to bring reason and sense to my people. It doesn't matter whether you're country or Congo or America. They have people like those in every ethnic and cultural group. You don't have to be native or country to have people perpetrate that kind of act. Even some Congo people did the same thing in Liberia. Kept children starved. And they died. Congo people. Nobody exempt from wickedness. Nobody got something a shield against them to say, everybody, we are all not Christians. Even the people who say they're Christian are not Christians. So people who worship different gods that we don't know about, that they believe, that they worship and practice, whether it's demonic or not. How would a parent starve their own son like that? Why would a father betray his own son like that? We can't blame it on country or Congo or America. We blame it on evil. We blame it on wickedness. We blame it on wicked people who exist in every culture. You see, when I curse my native people, I curse them because they do stupid things. I curse them because they do stupid things. But I will not put things on my indigenous people that are prevalent throughout the Liberian society. Whether you're indigenous or not, people do the same thing. And evil can be based on religion. What people believe. Look at your sinner were telling us that every time Sammy Doe called the elders together to advise him against the other members of the PRC that were causing him problem, what some of them said, kill him. So if you have our tribal leaders calling for blood of Liberian citizens, how safe are the rest of our citizens from this group of ignorant people who don't care about taking life, who are imbued with chieftaincy and kings and masters in a democratic society? These people are a hindrance to constitutional democracy, to a sane and realistic way of life under the rule of constitutional democracy. We have no democracy in Liberia yet. We are still learning democracy. And yes, you see that we're right too. Our religious cults and practices and ideals and acceptances impact our lives in Liberia. We are a spiritual people. And because of spiritualism, we have infused this into our laws. And that can't be so. Now, everything that goes on in our society, they say Christian people gotta forgive for peace sake. No, that is not Christianity. That's the wrong teachings. And that's why our children are being raped and killed with impunity. Because our people don't have any concept of Christianity. And your senior said it too. You got one tribal man going in the village saying he is a pastor, and everybody submitting their lives to this man in the name of Jesus Christ. And he is not a preacher of Jesus Christ. But because our people are ignorant, our people cannot read and write, our people are native, they take everything their own people tell them is right. And some of these pastors, look what they're doing, the pastors doing in Liberia. They are the biggest rapists. They are the biggest thieves all over Africa. Look at these people driving jets and things. And our people are falling on their knees to them, drinking Clorox, taking off their clothes, having sex with the pastors, to recover from sins. Is that the teachings of Jesus Christ? Look at George Weah. Is that man preacher material? Is that man a son of God material? Is that man a follower of Jesus Christ? And he's a pastor with a church? Look at Prince Johnson, a man who killed thousands and thousands of Liberian people. He's still the leader of Liberia. And he got a church too. So where is our country going? Where's our country going? When we see the children being starved by their parents. We see our own people killing their children. And you need to pronounce your words good to me. Everybody say the man starving. I thought people saying that the little kid was stabbed or something like that. He's starving. So I'm like, stabbing? Why would a man stab his own son? And I read it. It's starving. I'm not saying I'm bad, man, but sometimes you gotta be a little better. Starving. It's not starving, it's starving. So you gotta get this thing correct, man. You gotta send the message as clear to the world so we know what's happening in the world. So let me get to my other point now. George Weah and Bernie Samuka. What is all this stupidness and corruption and evil thinking Liberian people doing? Our people in the diaspora are a source of the problems in Liberia. I listened to Costa today talking about how people are calling him and want him to join in Brownie Samaka's mess. Brownie Samaka is a criminal and he is guilty. He was the head responsible for securing the people pension. He was a minister that controlled the pension. Without his approval, Ellen Johnson could not use the pension of the soldiers. And the pension of the soldiers is a constitutional duty. Our people cannot work with a pension. Why you think the same people you're talking about all the time, American people will never touch their pension. You see how the older people all talking against the president, all them want to mess with the pensions? Because that people eggs in the retirement. After working for 20, 30 years and doing your job diligently, we're all stealing, we're all lying, we're all being a fraudster, a cheat, or liar. You deserve to have the resources to rest in happiness in your old age, because that's what we work for. That's what we work for people to take money out of our salary to save it for pension. And whether Bernie Samuka got approval or the other generals or anything to take $20 from the people paying for pension, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was their pension money. It was set aside. He didn't take it to use it for himself. He took it to put toward their pension. And once you do that, you cannot touch that money. You are in a fiduciary position of trust because you convince your soldiers for them to accept the $20 deduction for their pension, which is not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that way. Because with your employment comes your pension plan and system and everything. So for the government to go again and say they're taking $20 out of the people's salary for pension, that's illegal. But for the people, for his soldiers' sake, it's permissible. There's no money in the country. There was no money set aside for the pension. I don't know where the $20 thing came from, because the government is supposed to provide pension for our people. So that's why I don't even want to get into that $20 money or anything. Whether they collected or not, it was the pension set aside for the soldiers. It was their guarantee by the Constitution and laws of the Republic of Liberia that when you work in your old age, your pension is your protection. It's your financial protection, it's social protection, it's every kind of protection to you. So when our leaders who are entrusted to keep these things relinquish it for some other purpose, that is not the purpose for which they took that money, they are obligated and guilty for whatever reason, misappropriation. Because for no reason under the sun should you touch that pension money, and you know your people have died and suffered for the pension. How will you get that money to Ellen? Ellen promises to the world has nothing to do with budgetary allotment for our people for specific purposes. So if Ellen Johnson go to the world and promises to send soldiers, and she come to Liberia and tell Brandon Samuka, oh my man, you got to release that money, and he knows it's the pension money for the soldiers, and he cannot release it, he should tell Mother Johnson Salif, no, I can't release it. My soldiers have suffered and worked hard for this money. I can't release it. This is one money I can't touch. For you to touch it, I got to resign. And you get somebody else to do it. That's how honest system and leaders work. You don't stay in the position and prove Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's corruption and misappropriation of the funding set aside for our soldiers. And after you use it, we have no evidence of how it was spent. We just say you took the pension people money and spent it. Now, Ellen gets with George Weah and makes an arrangement for George Weah to pay it back. He doesn't have to pay it back. There is no obligation on George Weah regime to pay it back, even if he says he's doing it. There's no written agreement. Did he and Ellen sign some agreement? No. No. Ellen is obligated for that money with Bani San Maka. So because of some useless agreement between George Weah and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf does not negate the criminality of misappropriation. So that agreement between Ellen Johnson and Sirleaf and George Weah, is it in writing? Is it a profound guarantee that George Weah has taken the responsibility of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Barney Sanmaka to repay that money? That's a criminal offense. So how would George Weah accept to pay that money for a criminal act? That's not how we recover money for criminal act. There is punishment and restitution. So now George Weah took the money. The government paid the money. Now they have come to their senses. The inept, useless government have come to their senses that you cannot pay the criminal debt of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Bernie Samuka. Then you are just as corrupt. Now this is what we're dealing with today. Two corrupt leaders using a dummy defense minister. So we are caught with three corrupt people that must be punished, because George Weah should have known that the pension of the Liberian people cannot be used for anything else. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had to find money from somewhere else or take it from somewhere else to do what she wanted to do. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no structure. Yes, people came and helped us. But our country is war-torn and ravaged. We can't offer peacekeeping troops to nobody right now. We are the poorest nation in the world. If we had our economic system up to par, where our children were in school, where our people had jobs, then we had the extra money, we say, yes, we'll join the peacekeeping force. There is nothing wrong. The peacekeeping force ain't going to end today. It will be continuous. But now here we are in this debacle where our people are supposed to be coming home, where our people here are still talking about their pensions. They're all soldiers, all these people. So where's their money? Ellen Johnson's self promises to other nations has nothing to do with the livelihood and survival of the Liberian people. So if you take their money to please other nations because you feel you have an obligation to do that, you got to satisfy the needs of the hungry and suffering and starving Liberian people. Their children got to go to school. They got to pay bills. Without it, what's the use of having a nation of leaders who getting paid and the masses of people who serving and protecting our nation have no pension? So this is where we are. And I'm not going further with this. Brownie Samuka, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and George Weah are guilty and responsible for returning the pension of the Liberian soldiers. So let's stop the stupidness and deciding Liberia's fate on social media. Costa ain't no lawyer. Nobody can decide how our system should be governed except you have some legal knowledge and understanding, especially when people are being punished for corruption and stealing. People won't come to plead for them again. No, we have done this for long. We have saved our criminals for too long. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Barney Samuka are responsible for the pension money of the soldiers. George Weah accepted to pay for it. He's responsible. He got to pay for it. Our soldiers cannot suffer. While they're going through their case with Barney Samuka and putting him in jail, that money must be replaced now for our soldiers because George Weah assured our people that it was going to be paid for him. So we can still prosecute Samuka and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to replenish that money. But in the meantime, the government must provide the pension for the soldiers. They can't go without pension. Ellen Johnson and Samuka corruption has nothing to do with our soldiers' lives. So George Weah, if those soldiers' pension are not settled, you and your dummy government better get off your AWSs and ensure that our soldiers' pensions are replenished and they are given their pension effective immediately. Now let me move on my third topic. Who is leading Liberia? Clar Weah or George Weah? One, all Liberian people know George Weah cannot read. Two, all Liberian people know George Weah cannot write. Three, many Liberian people know that Nathaniel McGill is the ab initio president instead of George Weah. Everything got to be gone through Nathaniel McGill, and that's why he has so much power in Liberia, because the president cannot read, the president cannot write. He needs a confidant who can translate these things to him, explain it to him, and help him make decisions. This is the plight and suffering of Liberian people today. We have a leader who is totally ignorant. The plight of our country is in the hands of other people. Now we can't trust Nathaniel McGill no more. He's working out of his house. All decisions for the government coming out of his house. Who in his house a government official to help him? Nobody. So his wife, Clar Weah, is the only one reading the national security documents of Liberia, translating it to Weah, and probably advising him on how to lead Liberia and Liberian people. This is unacceptable. This is intolerable. This is a government without a leadership. I can't help you. I just will tell you. My hour is done. Have a good day, my people. The struggle continues.